Hey guys, it's Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses podcast, where every week we talk about GRC topics in regards to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, also known as information security, something that people don't normally talk about. Normally, most influencers are talking about hacking or some of the technical side of cybersecurity or something like that. And I happen to have done cybersecurity for over 20 years now, mostly doing policy, risk, and governance, also known as GRC. So if you're interested in that and talking about these topics and asking somebody who's been doing this for a very long time, I'm going to tell you exactly how to get in, what to expect when you do get in, if you want to transition into this field. And then if you have any other questions about IT, I've been doing this a long time, so I'll answer it as best I can. Let's get right into this. Let me answer some questions. I'm going to start. I'm actually on vacation. That's why my sound is weird. I'm in this different environment. I'm in Las Vegas right now, just chilling for a bit, just taking kind of a little break for a few days. Kind of a staycation, really. I'm still working. I got so much stuff to do with my job, so I'll still be working here. Hey, Jay Barnes, how you doing, man? All right. Since there's nobody here, have you seen that beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar? I'm sure you have, actually. What do you think about that? It's crazy, huh? Let's see. Tariq Baker says, "Hey, I'm currently serving in the military. I have a TS SCI and have Security Plus. Could I risk getting out in the next 4 years, or should I risk getting out in the next 4 years, or should I complete my cybersecurity certification that I'm working on?" I would say it's not really a risk. you could actually get out right now. But what I would do, like your best play, it depends on what you want to do. But if you're trying to get that dollar and you're willing to work a little bit harder and you're going to be in the military anyway for a few more years, I would say go for a degree before you get out, because it's going to make you more competitive. Get that degree, so then by the time you get out, have a professional level certification, the Security Plus, and then you got CISSP and CISA and CISSM and these different certifications that are like 2 or 3 steps above the Security Plus. Get that and a 4-year degree before you get out. When you get out, your career is set in stone. I mean, you'll have to turn down good jobs, great jobs. So yeah, it's not even a risk, man. It's at this point, all you got to do is apply. You just get your resume looking good. If you need help on how to do I would start doing your resume now. Start putting it together. Take a look at my resume. You can go to convocourses.net and just go down the list and look at how my resume looks. Start putting it together now and start massaging it for the time you're in there. You said, I already have a bachelor's degree, so it would be a master's degree. I'm 23. Just don't want to rush things. So, wow, you're playing. Yeah, you're playing for real. You're playing for keeps. Yeah, even if you got out right now, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, it would not be a risk for you. You make 6 figures depending on what state you're in. If you're in the Denver, there's certain hot spots you want to go to when you do get out. You want to go to either DMV area, DC, Virginia, Maryland area is the most jobs for what we do, cybersecurity, because there's so many federal organizations and all that kind of stuff. And then you got all the jobs in Colorado. There's a lot of jobs here in Colorado because there's so many bases, there's so many military, so much federal stuff going on. And then you've got Southern California has a ton of jobs down there in the LAs, in Santa Barbara, San Diego. All of those there's a lot of jobs in that area. And what other hotspots? Texas has a lot of jobs. that's going to hold your TSSCI is what I'm talking about. And you put all those things together. And South, yeah. Jay Barnes, thank you. South, oh man, you got Alabama, you got Georgia. Huntsville, Alabama's hot because you got NASA down there, you got Army down there, you got all these different aerospace organizations there, and then you've got of course, Texas, Plano, Texas, Denver, Dallas, Fort Worth. What other southern places? There's a few other ones. Florida has some jobs. So those are the hot spots. That's not to say you can't find one in like Idaho or whatever, but those ones I just mentioned are like the ones that have the most jobs. So you could right now get out. But if you're like really trying to nail it down and you got 4 years left anyway, I would actually, like one thing you might want to consider, what I would consider if I were you, if you want to go management, get a master's degree. If you're just going straight for the dollars, more impact for less time would be a professional level certification. This is coming from somebody who's been doing this for a long time. They usually aren't looking for a master's degree unless you're going for like a management position, a high level teaching position, like at a prestigious university. Some instructor courses level, they require that you get a master's degree. I'm saying this as a person with only a bachelor's degree who's been able to land a bunch of six-figure jobs. And it's because I have a professional level certification. I have a CISSP. And that right there changed the whole course. I was going for a master's degree before I got the CISSP. When I got it, I was like, what am I doing? So yeah, professional level cert, something you want to look into. CISSP or CRISC is pretty good. CISA, CISM. Oh, what other cybersecurity certifications if you are very deep in one area, you might like, if let's say you're a network guy, then you want to get a CCNP. There's different professional level certs for different aspects of information technology and cybersecurity. He says, that makes sense. I do IT in the military, not necessarily cybersecurity. I concentrate on, I'm concerned that they won't translate my years of experience here over to cybersecurity years of experience, if that makes sense. Okay, different topics. So if you are a military vet, which I am, I was in the military for 8 years, and I was started off as a MP, military police officer. We call this security police. Then they transferred it to security forces, and then I was in the Air Force. So I was a grunt, man. I was working with the Army and the Marine. When I was in, we were working directly with the Army and Marines and different branches of different countries even. So I was a grunt, man. I wasn't doing IT stuff. I loved IT stuff. So I cross-trained into IT. And I was concerned, like I knew I was going to get out. So I was like, man, like what do I want to do when I get out? And I knew I wanted to do IT stuff. So that's why I cross-trained. And I only was in military. I was only doing IT in the military for about 3-4 years. And then I got out. So I did like 4 or 5 years as a MP. And then I did 4 years as an IT guy. And I was doing network engineering. I was doing help desk. I did risk management framework. We call it DICAP and DISCAP when I was in. I was doing stuff like that. I was doing like how the military is. They kind of put you where they need you. So I was doing all these different things. I mean, I did ComSec. I did all kinds of weird stuff when I was in. So I had an exposure to many different aspects of IT. To answer your question. So you're concerned with like, how does this translate? How do I translate my IT skill set into the outside world? It translates very, very well, my friend. Very, very, very well. So much so that many different organizations on the outside are going to want you. They're going to want your skills. The thing that you have to do is translate it into civilian speak. Because right now, if you're in the Navy, you're going to be using all kind of Navy speak. If you're in the Army, you're going to be using all kind of Army lingo and Air Force lingo. What you need to do is learn how the civilians talk. They use industry standards. Whenever they're speaking about, let's say, networking, you might have an urge to name the network whatever the military named it. Like they might have some kind of stupid acronym for it, right? If it's Navy, it would be ComNav LAN or some stupid shit, right? That nobody knows what it is except the Navy guys. So what is it actually, right? It's a local area network. So you need to spell that out. Like it's a LAN. Like everyone knows what a LAN is, whether you're in the military, in the Air Force, in the Marines, whatever. Everybody knows what a local area network is, or a wide area network. You need to use civilian language in your resume. And if you want an example of that, you can download mine for free. Go on the Convocourses.com, Convocourses.net, find my free resume course, download it for free. I'm walking you through how you word it and what kind of ATS style resume, what it looks like, and it's a downloadable sample so you can use it. And then also go to LinkedIn and look at people's resumes, and it'll give you a great example of how to word it. Because if they're not in the military, they're not using military speak. Everything you do does translate. Like if you're setting up if you're setting up routers, they're using routers. They're using Cisco, they're using Juniper, they're using Palo Alto, all the same stuff you have in the DoD space. They're using outside too. They just call it by the vendor names. It says, I'm going on your site. Appreciate your advice. You're dropping gems right now. Yeah, let me show you some more stuff, man. Shout out to all my military people, man. I feel your pain. I know you do a lot of work that people don't. We're a very small percentage of people who actually do the U.S. military, not to put up with the government's bullshit for many years, and have very little. There's a bit that they give you when you get out, and just pay very, very close attention to it because it's worth your time. It's definitely worth your time. And I got to say, for all the BS the military put me through, I've been able to get everything out of it that I can. And I want the same for you guys too. You know, my military vets, you don't get no props, no love, except a thank you and a pat on the back for going to war zones and conflicts and dealing with all kinds of crazy stuff that the civilians don't even know about. So let me show you this. So let's say I'm going to walk you through. Let me show you my screen real quick so you can. And for those of you guys who want to follow along, this goes for everyone, right? Because whatever industry you're in, you need to know this. Every industry has certain industry, whether you're in banking and you're in healthcare industry or whatever industry you happen to be in. Each one has like a lingo that they speak. Like it's very in the weeds. And if you're in the military, you know that language. If you're in healthcare, you know that language. But what you got to do is kind of expand, look at the keywords across industries. And let me show you how you can kind of do that. If I could show you my screen here real quick. I guess I didn't set this up. Hold on, let me set up my share screen here. Shout out TikTok, man. I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just answering questions very thoroughly. If you have any questions, ask me the questions. I'm going to try to get to it. I'll be on here for about an hour. Any questions you have, especially my specialty is cybersecurity. So here's my profile on LinkedIn, right? And what I want to show you is this. So let's say you were a network guy. And I don't know, Tariq, what you do, but let's just say it was network engineer. Now, in the military, it's going to have some kind of, your role is going to have a weird ass name. It's going to be like cyber defender, IT generalist, or something that doesn't really translate on the outside, usually. But we're going to say it's a network engineer. Let's say that most of your work is actually, your skill set is mostly in setting up routers and backing up routers and troubleshooting routers and stuff like that. That's a network engineer. So let's say that was your specialty. And if you tell me what your specialty is, I can I can help you even further. Tell me what your specialty is. Are you doing databases? Are you doing networking? Are you doing risk management framework? Tell me what you're doing, and I can pinpoint it. But right now, I just typed in network engineering, and as you can see on my screen, it just defaults to everything, jobs. So what we want to look at is people. So these are all people's profiles. We want somebody who has a profile, who's opened up their profile like myself. Mine is open. If you go to mine, it's completely, you can see all the jobs I worked and all that kind of stuff, up to date. So this person's resume is here, and they don't have they have some places they work, but not the full, they didn't publicly put their whole resume out. So let's go to this next person here in line. So let's go here. They said they were in the Air Force. They have more stuff in there, so that's good. I'm seeing, yeah. So this is good. So see how it has this stuff right here is what you want to pay attention to. They're telling you why this is important is that this guy is one of the top people on there. So this is somebody that you can emulate and get an idea of how you want to put your resume together when you get out. And you want to do it now. Don't wait till you're out of college. Don't wait till you're out of the military. Do it now so you can see your marketability. And see how he has this? If you have certification, he puts them right on top. He says he's a veteran. He has a Security Plus. You can do this right now. And notice how he has an about section, right? If you want to access this, it's right here. When you set up your profile, right up here, you'll be able to hit like a little an edit button, and it'll allow you to change all this stuff. You want to fill this out as much as possible, not just on LinkedIn, but on Dice, on Monster, on all platforms. And then see how he has this right here he has top secret clearance. He put all his top stuff here. He has over 20 years of experience. He's got experience working with the Department of Defense. He's got an active TSSCI, and he's spelled it out, top secret SCI, security clearance. That's important because when people are typing in keywords in these job aggregators, you're going to see your resume, and that's how you get the jobs. Right now, Tariq, I'm telling you, this right here, you probably have a better resume than this guy. I mean, well, this guy has 20 years experience, so maybe not. But you have one that's on par with where you've got one on the path to where this guy's going, if you're a network engineer especially. He's got a CCNA. He's got a Security Plus. See how he spelled it out? Cisco CCNA certified. CompTIA Security Plus certified. Cisco Device Administrator, and so on and so forth. Then he has some of his top skills. LAN, local area networks. This guy is a military veteran. He's not using all kinds of military speak. There's a little bit in there, but not a lot. Supports integration, development, and testing of the protected tactical enterprise service network. So he spelled out what it is. It's a tactical. Nobody's gonna know what PTES is, right? I don't know what that is, but he spells it out. So you can get an idea. This is an enterprise service. That's the kind of thing you want to do with the military. And then when he was in the military, look how he spells out his experience in the military. This is really important right here. Look at this. This is perfect. It's beautiful. So he says led 25-member communication travel team to 90 worldwide deployments. And then he names the organization. And then he's orchestrated 60 plus land site setups. And then he goes into what he actually deployed, a Cisco ASA 5505, and so on and so forth. KG 250 encryptors. Wow. So that sounds familiar. Oversaw configuration management. See, configuration management, local area networks, Cisco ASAs. These are all industry standards that everyone is using. So he's not using just a bunch of military lingo like this, CJCS. Who the hell knows what that is? I mean, you probably know it as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but anybody outside of the military is not going to know what the hell that is. You got to spell stuff out, use industry standards, and the best way to do this is to look at other people's resume and copy what they're doing, not word for word, but you want to get an idea of the keywords and key phrases that they're using, and then start putting this stuff on LinkedIn right away. You right now with a bachelor's degree with experience in the military. You said you deal with ComSec. Let me see. Let me read this. ComSec, working with upper level TI, TCN, Starlink, and I'm a second lieutenant. Yeah, so Starlink, break that down. Like, I don't know what that is, right? I'm a civilian. I don't know what that is. What is it? Is it is it SATCOM? Break it down. Like, I'm dealing with SATCOM, which is connected to, I'm not telling you to give away fucking secrets or anything, but I'm just saying, like, what is it? Like, tell the components of what it is and explain what you do with that, right? As a lieutenant, second lieutenant, and let's say you have 4 years left, what I would probably do, you have to be in, get a professional level cert, and if you have time, a master's degree. That way you can go straight into like management, and then don't forget about your technical skills. I would keep my technical skills sharp, because I know, like, as a second lieutenant, sometimes you guys don't get like hands-on. You guys aren't in the weeds on technical stuff. But the more you know about the technical side, the better, to be honest with you. So that's a few tips. I mean, just my 2 cents, having done this for a long time. You're on your way. Like, if you got out right now with your bachelor's, you'd easily clear 6 figures and could probably land a management position, a low-level management position right out the box, because you're a lieutenant. You're used to leading people. So you just got to tighten up your resume, and the best way to do is go to LinkedIn and copy like kind of what they do. Would you recommend a PMP? Yeah, PMP is fire. Like, a lot of us people, my peers, some of them have PMPs, cybersecurity guys. Because project managers and program managers make pretty good money, especially if that's the route you want to go. And here's another thing people don't really talk about is, just like doing information security work, you can go into information security management, but also as a project manager, there's levels to project management that lead all the way into C-level and director level, because that's the kind of stuff they're doing, is coordination, putting things together, making sure that large systems are on track to get done on time and under budget. That's the kind of stuff PMPs do. A PMP is fire. Like, that's a great certification. Like, I don't know what tier it's in. Let me see if I can find what tier that's in. I want to say it's like a professional level cert, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me see if I can find secure. If you guys want to follow me, if you happen to be listening to me on this podcast, if you go to Google or Bing or whatever search engine you use, DuckDuckGo, whatever, and type in security progression. Just follow me here. Just stick with me for a second. Security progression certification. I'm going to take you to one of my favorite sites. Certification, if I could spell. I'm looking for, there he is, pauljeremy.com. Let me show you my screen again. pauljeremy.com, this site right here, this guy has a security certification roadmap, and it's called a security certification roadmap. So let me click this here so you can see. I can't expand it, so I apologize. And if you happen to be listening to me, I'll explain what we're looking at. You definitely want to check this out. pauljeremy.com, security certification roadmap, breaks down each one of the top cyber security certifications. And not all of these are security, but what I wanted to point you out to, Tariq, is am I pronouncing your name right? I apologize if I butchered your name. I'm looking for the PMP. PMP. So PMP would be, see how they have these different categories? You have network security, you have IAM, you have security architecture and engineering, you have asset security, you have security and risk management. You have different categories of security. PMP is probably under security and risk management, I think. Maybe security operations. I know PMP is on this list. It's one of the larger ones. So there it is. You look at that. Wow. So PMP, is that a PMP? Wow. Yeah. PMP is considered an expert level certification. It's above a CISSP. Yeah, I stand by it. A PMP is a great certification. It's a great certification. It'll get you right into project management, program management type stuff, management and stuff in general. So yeah, great cert. All right, let me see what we got going on TikTok. I'm gonna start from the top. Answering questions here on TikTok. Let me see. A lot of people coming and going in here. So basically, an MBA in security isn't worth it. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Maybe you got that from a misguided implication. I didn't mean to imply that that it's useless. Oh, an MBA. Are you talking about a business? So let me see. Okay, let me stop being a dummy here. MBA. It's a business certification, isn't it? Master of Business Administration. Oh, okay. No, I wouldn't say it's useless. It could, if you have a background, a skill set in a tech. Let's say you've been doing you've been actually implementing security on systems, or you've been implementing IT. You're an IT guy by trade, and you have an MBA, a business master's degree. It could still help you to land a manager position as an IT guy. So it's not totally lost. Normally, I'll tell you this, though, to get into IT in general, like whenever they're looking for degrees, they're usually looking for something in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, one of those. That's the ones that they put a lot of weight on. But if you are already an IT guy, and you had an MBA, a master's in business, it could still help you. Put it to you this way. I've been in positions where I've been in organizations that they required that whoever would take this other management role had to have a master's degree. And they weren't saying like, oh, you have to have a master's in cybersecurity, or you have to have a master's in whatever. They were just saying, hey, you need to have a master's degree. And that's in a couple organizations. It was more than one. One was in private sector, one was in public sector, where they wanted you to have a master's degree as a requirement, any master's degree. So yeah, so it could help you depending on your situation and what you're trying to do. To get your foot in the door, I don't know how much an MBA is going to help you in IT. Like, I'm not sure how much it's going to help you, to be honest with you, because they're really wanting experience in the field, right? I mean, if I was an IT guy and I had all this experience in IT and I was trying to run business accounts, right, and I have no experience in business accounts, they're going to want me to have experience with business accounts. They ain't going to look at my degree in IT and physics or whatever, right? So that's kind of how it works in IT too. How's your work-life balance with cybersecurity? This is a great question. I'll be completely honest. It depends on the job. The current job I'm at, it's not great. The work-life balance is not good. Just being honest with you, and I think the reason why, and this has happened at more than one organization, where they won't hire more people, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they do this. They'll put a whole bunch of hats on you, and they want you to do all this stuff, and they just won't hire more people. And right now I'm in a place where they really should hire more people. And I've told them this over, I don't know, 2 years since I've been working there. They just won't. They'll hire a dude, the guy will get trained up, and then they'll be like, okay, now you're going to go do this other thing. It's like we got this scope creep where they're getting all this new business, gobbling all this new business. And then when they get a new person, they put them on that new business. It's like we have too much work to do. It's a good and bad thing. It's good that, like, you're hearing all this doomsday. Oh, the economy's bad. No, there's no jobs. I'm telling you, there's freaking jobs here. This company that I'm at, they keep getting more business and getting more business. And every time they do, A new person comes in, they immediately have to put them over there in that new bit on that new thing. That's what's happening, is that there's not enough of us to do this work. It's part of the reason I do this, is that I'm telling you that there are jobs here. There's jobs to do, but you have to be qualified. They want you to have a skill set. They can't just hire any person, because this is cybersecurity. One of the great things about cybersecurity is that it's a dual-edged sword, because on the one hand, the good part is somebody from India can't take this job, because a lot of the jobs require that you're a U.S. citizen. It weeds out the field. It's like, nah, we can't hire somebody from China. We can't hire somebody from India. We can't offshore this work, because this is we're dealing with sensitive information. So you can't just hire anyone. Then you got to do a background check on that person to make sure you're working at a bank, you didn't rob banks. You're working at a hospital, we're not a malpractice nurse or something. You know what I mean? So they have to do a background check on not necessarily a security clearance, but a background check for all cybersecurity jobs. I don't know that I've been on one that didn't have some kind of background check on you. So it weeds out the field. So there's always work to do here. There's always work in cybersecurity. The problem is they can't find the people to do the skills. There's not enough people who even want it. The generation Gen Z don't want to do this work. I don't know what the hell is going on, but they do not want to do this work. The older people, the boomers, are retiring, man. They're getting out fast. So there's just a narrow path of just mostly millennials and Gen X that are doing this work. And they just keep piling stuff on us because there's more and more and more work to do. And then another argument is like, oh, well, what about AI? AI is going to take all the jobs. Hey, listen, they're not going to trust AI. AI is not there yet. It's maybe 20, 30 years away, maybe more. And even then, somebody has to manage the AI. But it's nice. It's cool. It's a great tool, but it cannot replace the assurance that you get from a person, from a human being. Not yet. Maybe one day when they redesign it. But not now. So it's job security. That said, the work-life balance sucks. There's only been a couple jobs that had decent work-life balance. And I'm just being honest with you. One was I was doing policy work. I was just doing straight up policy work, and I had great work-life balance. One of the reasons why I take remote work is because I can be in another state. I can take a staycation like I'm at here right now. I'm in another state, and I can chill to force the work-life balance. I find ways to force the work-life balance. That's why I personally don't want to do office work, because cybersecurity is like they keep piling more and more work, and we can't get enough people to do this work. And the work-life balance overall sucks. But you can find a job that's not like this. That's not this bad. How can I find remote work with security clearance? Well, think of it like this, Nelson, Paul, if you still happen to be here. Good question, by the way. So, number one, understand not all jobs require a security clearance. Security clearance is a special breed of jobs. Security clearance is mostly top secret and secret, and that's mostly the federal governments around the world. Different federal governments have those roles. Or if you are at a contracting role and you're working for a federal, national government, whatever, then you have actual security clearances. That said, most jobs, whether it's remote or in the office or hybrid or whatever, they're going to have to do a background check, which is not a security clearance. And a public trust is grouped in with security clearances, a secret or top secret or whatever, but it's not really, it's different. It's a different thing. So you're going to have a background check on any job you do for cybersecurity. How can I find a remote job with a security clearance? That's your question, though. They exist. Actually, I worked for NASA and I had a clearance, and I was doing remote work with them as a contractor. For whatever reason, I had to hold the clearance, but I never used it. They were talking about us using it and having to go to the office and all that kind of stuff, but we never did it. So And actually, there's been a couple jobs like that where they wanted me to hold a clearance, but it was remote, and I didn't have to go to an office or something. And I had a friend who did have also, they held his security clearance. He had to have it, but he also most 80-90% of the job was remote because there's updating documents or logging into to systems that were not classified or anything. They do exist. What I'm trying to tell you. How can you find them? Go to LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed. All the top ones have those jobs. Just look for remote jobs. You'll find them. And they'll be like, this is a remote position. By the way, you have to have an active X clearance. It'll be like that. Just go to all the job aggregators. You'll find it. All right, let me get another question here from TikTok. It says, what is the best way to get into cybersecurity? The best way, I would say, in my opinion, is from my experience, what I've seen, the best way is to be an IT person already. To be an IT person is the best way. It's the best way. Because if you're an IT person, if you're hands-on help desk IT person, you've already kind of done cybersecurity. You've done the best practices. You've hooked up accounts and had to secure those accounts. You might have had to move accounts over from a username password to a multi-factor authentication. You may have had to review. You might have to review event logs. You had to update patches on systems and to get rid of vulnerabilities. You had to look at vulnerabilities on systems and get rid of them. You had to be a part of configuration management. You had to do disaster recovery. Those are all cybersecurity. Believe it or not, if you're doing IT, if you've done it for some time, you more than likely have done cybersecurity. And so now you just need to put that on your resume. The best way to get into cybersecurity is already be an IT person and then start telling people what you've done from a cybersecurity perspective. A lot of people who are not outside of this circle of cybersecurity, they think that it's only pen testing and you got to be some kind of a genius or you got to be, they put it on some kind of pedestal. I'm telling you, it's broad enough to where it includes many different aspects. It's not just hacking. It's not just knowing tools to do pen testing or something like that. There's many different aspects, and I'm actually explaining to you GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, which is an all-encompassing umbrella for cybersecurity. It includes management and includes conducting risk assessments, and it includes policy stuff. So it's not just hacking. It's not just firewalls. It's very real broad, and nobody talks about it. But it's really great to have a solid foundation for what you're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, that's the best way to get in, is have a real solid IT foundation. Fundamentals of IT, networking, cloud technologies, learn about the difference between a client and a server. Those are some of the main things that you really need to know. And one of the best curriculums, in my opinion, the first one I did, that was like an eye-opener, is Security Plus. It just lays it all out to where it breaks down many of the more important things you need to know as a cybersecurity professional. The fundamentals of IT, CompTIA A+ breaks everything that you need to know down. If you know those basic things, if you've already been doing IT for a while, you're already help desk, you're already a technical support person, you know how to put computers together, you know how to set up networks, you don't need A+ certification. It's not for you. But if you have known nothing and you're trying to go in cybersecurity, first you need to know the fundamentals, CompTIA A+, then graduate over to something more specific like Security Plus. Okay, let me see if I can answer some more questions. How is the salary in cyber after 20 years? It depends on a couple things. It depends on, number one, I make about 130. Okay. That's small compared to some of the other guys. But here, let me explain what's going on with my situation. I value freedom above money. I like my time. So if I was willing to move to another location, if I moved to Maryland, DC, Virginia area, I could easily clear 200. If I was willing to go into an office and get my clearance back, I could easily make 250 or more. if I was willing to go back overseas as a contractor, I could easily clear 220 to something like that. For me, it's freedom. Like, I like being remote, making over 100. I'm okay. I have income streams. This isn't my only stream of money. So I don't need to pull in 200,000. I just don't. It's just not right. It's not in line with my goals, what I want to do for my family. So if I'm willing to go overseas, I can make clear easily. Hell, I could probably pull a few 100,000 if I started my own consulting business. I could do like, check this out. If I really wanted to make money, here's how I do it. mastersam.gov, get myself a DUNS number. You think I don't know how to do this? I win contracts. I could hire some of you guys. I could hire the best of the best, do interviews with you guys, hire like 10 dudes, get a DUNS number, put you under my LLC. We, as a wounded vet, go out and get win some contracts with Department of Defense, NASA, whoever. And then I could get a contract for like a 1 mil, 1.3 mil, something like that. I'll pay my people very well, right? And then I'm sitting pretty. I'm making 300,000, whatever, of that money. We got a contract to do all of these risk management framework, system security plans. We keep those in line. We work remotely. I mean, that's what I could do. If I really wanted money, I could be making about 300, 400,000, and that's how I would do it. But for me, I like freedom. I've had a couple businesses where I did have to have employees, and it just took a lot of my time. And I'm just like, I don't know that I want to go that route. Not right now. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future. Maybe something will come down the pipe where I'm just training. That would be kind of cool. So I've thought about it. After 20 years, you have a lot more options. So I have an option I can make that big money, but I know what it takes because I've seen people do it. And it's just something it's not a route I want to go right now in my life. I'm trying to chill. I'm trying to chill and lean back. I like what I'm doing here. I like writing books. That's the kind of stuff I'm trying to focus on, doing something I really love to do with something that also pays. I'm trying to marry those two things together. 20 years gives you more options to do what you want to do. If I was willing to move somewhere else, I could easily clear 200. So that's kind of what it is. It gives you more options. Most applicants aren't qualified. That's absolutely true. Yes, most applicants just aren't qualified to get in the door. So it's like many are called and the chosen are few. Where is your workplace? I'm ready. Where's my workplace? How do I get into cybersecurity after a master's degree in data science? Do you have a degree, and what are your thoughts on Security Plus? Okay, so I got 3 different questions. I answer the first one from Montel. He says, how to get into cybersecurity after a master's degree in data science. So if I was a student, what I would do is right now, don't wait. Start getting experience right now. How do you do that? Make freelance work. If you know how to remove viruses, you know how to fix people's computers, be a freelancer and do that for either little or no money. Be a freelancer and start doing, and that stuff you can put on your resume. You need experience you can put on a resume. One of the best things you can do if you're already in school, getting your master's, bachelor's, whatever, try to become a working student. Don't worry about how much they pay you. That's not what you're trying to do. Is get experience. Experience is better than money right now at this point in your life. So become a working student, find these working programs, internships, all that kind of stuff. Use it. Don't ignore it, because that's one of your best assets is that networking component that college gives you. And even if you're working remote, like if you're a remote student, wherever, or working adult student, whatever, it doesn't matter. They'll have these programs where you can help them to manage their laptops that they send the students, or remove viruses, or do imaging. Look at those programs and try to be a working student. my point is get experience right now while you're still working on your degree in data science or computer science or whatever you're doing. Doesn't matter if it's an IT degree of any kind. It could be a master's in IT, a master's in IS, whatever it is. Get the computer experience right now. It's the best thing you can do. So when you get out, you could do cybersecurity, but you might be offered some other things. You'll start to network with people, and you'll find other things that might even be better for you than cybersecurity. So my next question is, do you need a degree? You don't need a degree to do IT, okay? What you must have is knowledge of information technology. Nobody's going to hire you without that. No, there's outliers, but I don't know anybody who got hired without knowing anything about IT. You must have the knowledge. Another thing, top tier, is experience. Experience is king. If you have experience, I've seen my first two mentors who are very brilliant, right? Very, very smart dudes. They didn't have a degree. I had a degree. They didn't have a degree. And they were making more money than me, teaching everybody, including myself, how to do this work we were doing. And no, you don't have to have a degree. What you have to have is the knowledge and experience is what they're really looking for. Does a degree help? Yeah, man, it's opens so many doors for high paying jobs if you get a degree in IT. I can't speak on other industries, but in information technology, it pays very, very well, that degree. And even if you say I'm working on a degree, sometimes they'll hire you when you say I'm working, and then when you get in the interview, they'll say, hey, I see you're working on a degree. Like what? You say, yeah, I'm gonna be working on a degree, but say, yeah, I'm gonna get it in 2 years from now, or whatever, and then they'll hold you to that. They'll hire you, and then they'll hold you to, okay, you got to get this degree in X amount of years or whatever. And then the last question is, what's your thoughts on Security Plus? Security Plus Fire is one of my favorite certifications. It was one of my first most effective certifications. Some of the top ones that were life-changing for me include the Security Plus, CCNA. When I had that, I've since let it expire because I'm not a network guy anymore, and CISSP. Those have been my top. Like when I look at certifications as something that had the most impact on my life, those three right there had the most impact. I would say A+ certification was a great learning tool. And then I would say the CAP, also known as the CGRC, is the most relevant to what I do. But as far as like life-changing, like people getting me hiring me and stuff, those three: CCNA, Security Plus, and CISSP. Let me go back to questions from YouTube. Let's see here. Hey, William, thank you for that $5, man. I appreciate you. William says, let me see. Says Beach Materials almost done with his degree in cybersecurity and getting his NIST CSF cert. What should he do to stand out in GRC? What he should do is get some experience in IT experience. IT experience is above everything else. Let me see what Beach Material says. If you go to a large church, ask the working staff, IT staff, to gain experience for freelance, bring new ideas. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, get experience. Like experience is really going to be the thing that sets you apart, for sure. Experience. The more exposure you have to information technology and securing it, applying security features, security controls, a good solid understanding of how to secure a network and reduce risk, a real solid understanding of how, if you're trying to do GRC specifically, William and Beach Material, the more exposure you have to a framework and how to implement that framework in an environment. For example, one of the questions that I get asked quite a bit when I'm in an interview, all the questions center around them trying to gauge my experience and my knowledge base in actively applying the NIST 800, which is the framework I mostly use. So, for example, they'll ask me questions like, have you gotten a system to an ATO before, right? Now, I mean, that question right there, you'd have to know what an ATO is. Like, you have to know, I know where they're going with it. They're wanting to gauge if I know what an ATO is and if I know the risk management framework process to get that system to an ATO, and they're trying to see if I can get their system to an ATO. It's a 3-part, like, it's a very complex question, because they're trying to gauge how I can apply this framework to their organization system and how to, based on what I did before. So they'll ask me the question. What I'll say is, yeah, I've gotten several systems to authorization, right? Authorization to operate. That's what ATO is. I've gotten several to authorization to operate, or an interim authorization to operate. And the way we've done it is we've gone through, I've gotten some from beginning to end, going through the entire risk management framework, and I'll start breaking down the risk management framework. I say, I was part of the team that had to categorize the system. We got to put our heads together, found out who the stakeholders are, and then we had to categorize the security of the system, which led us to selecting the controls of the system. It was a low impact system, so then we start to implement those. So I worked with the system administrators to get those controls implemented, and then we had an assessor. We had an internal assessment done and an external assessment done, and we had to take that package from all the data we gathered, we documented it and put it into what's called the SAR, Security Assessment Report, and then we gave that to the heads of agency to look at, to get the authorization. So I was walking them through the process of what we did, right? And I'm showing them, number one, I know what the risk management framework is. Number two, I know how to apply the risk management framework to your organization. And after that, they're like, okay, all right. So it doesn't matter, like, whatever standard you're using, whether it's PCI DSS or it's HIPAA or it's Sarbanes-Oxley or whatever, they're trying to see not only if you know it, right? Because you could have just read it off the internet and just recite it. Maybe you have photographic memory. You just memorize everything and just say. They want to see how you take that, if you have the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience, that take that framework and apply it to an actual system and situation. And those are the kinds of questions they ask you. So the more exposure you can get to a framework, any kind of framework, it doesn't have to be risk management framework. It doesn't have to be NIST 800. It doesn't have to be NIST CSF. Even if your exposure is to another set of controls, you could use those and just tell them how you apply it, and then translate that to the framework that you want. Let me give you an example. Let's say your exposure is to, you guys had a policy. It wasn't necessarily linked to any framework, but you had a policy and you had a list of like 20 different controls that you guys put in. When I say controls, I mean security features that you put on your system, and it was all linked to a security policy. Your organization, you worked for a medium-sized organization that supplied widgets to other businesses. It was a B2B, and your systems and the servers and everything, you had to have vulnerability management. You had to have authentication, proper MFA, multi-factor authentication. You had to have encryption on data at rest and all that stuff. You wanted to start telling them, here's how we applied it in accordance with our security policy. We had security policy 101. We would put this thing, it had a bunch of controls that it was linked to, loosely based off of NIST CSF and loosely based off of CIS V8, right? And then what we did was I worked with a team the information technology department and the system engineering team. We put our heads together and figured out how can we implement this. Every 4 months, we'd come together and make sure the configuration was the same. So basically, you're walking them through your organization's process. You want them to see we had a process, we followed it, and here's how secure we were. And then you could say that it actually all lines up quite nicely with the NIST 800, which I'm familiar with. We didn't use the NIST 800, but it was very similar to the NIST 800 in that we had to prepare, we had to have categorization, we had to have security, select security controls, we had to implement them, we had to have assessments. So what you want to do is show them, number one, you know how to secure a system based off of a security policy, and here's how it lines up with this other framework. You could do something like that, and that would help you out quite a bit, because they're wanting to know what you do, not what you know. They want to see what you know by what you've done, if that makes any sense. Okay, let me go back to TikTok. Let's see. Somebody said Adobe new AI is in their reader even has a disclaimer to not fully rely on AI results. Yeah, it's not there yet. So people are getting all excited about it, and it's just not. It's a great tool, but it's not. There's no assurance with it just yet. Doing remote work with one monitor is impossible. Should I buy another for this internship? Yes. Let me show you. This right here. Look at this. This is a second monitor. Right now, I'm using it. Using the second monitor right here. This cost about $70, $79, something like that. It's worth your time because doing remote work, a lot of times we're dealing with lots of data, especially if you're a data scientist or data analyst or anything like that. You got to deal with spreadsheets and databases, and you got to transfer this data to this other. It's worth your time. Like, it's a great investment. Like, you should do it. I got this off of Amazon. And there's cheaper ones out there, but I mean, look at this. It sits on, I don't know if I can take this. Sits on this little thing right here. Just sit it right there, boom. And then I'm just looking, and you basically have to get one. I mean, it's really hard to do remote work with one screen, especially if you're dealing with a lot of data. If you're just like, I had a job where all I was doing was rewriting policies. I would read their policies. I didn't need two screens for that. I mean, it would have been helpful, but I didn't need two screens. But for the stuff I'm doing now as a GRC guy, I'm doing information security officer work, and I'm taking, gigabytes of data and having to transfer it and like do all this, putting stuff from one database to another. And I have to have another. It's just faster to have two screens. Do you have a class for GRC? So what I have right now, I'm thinking about doing something specifically for GRC in general, and then simplifying it in a way that you would understand. By the time you were done, you'd understand NIST, CSF, NIST 800, and like PCI DSS and CIS V8 or something like that, and make it simple enough to where you could be a help desk person or IT person. And then by the end of the course, you would understand like exactly what the field looks like and how to put the stuff on your resume, how to articulate and speak at interviews. I could totally do that. I haven't had time to do that. But right now, if you happen to be in the government, I have a GRC course specifically for people who are GRC government workers or GRC contractors for federal government. It's called RMF Foundations, and it's specifically for information system security officers and walking them through how to do this. So I do have a course. It's on Convocourses.com. Go to Convocourses.net to get some kind of a discount. Sign up right now. I've also got books and stuff on Amazon. Just look me up. Just type in Convocourses or Bruce Brown CISP or something like that. I'm out there. So Right now, I've got a book for like 99 cents. I'm doing a promotional deal on cyber law and FISMA stuff. How can I get your book? Go to convocourses.net, and it'll be the top one on the top link there. It'll take you directly to the book. For a limited time, it was free for a limited time, so I can get some reviews. But it's now limited time. It's at a discount, 99 cents. To get the KDP version of it, it's going to shoot up to like, I don't know, $40 once it's done, because it's actually 2 books in one. And I do this so I can get you guys to check it out and give me some reviews and things like. It helps me to get more exposure to the book. That's why I do those discounts, and it's only for a limited amount of time. So just go ahead and check that out. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. No problem. Okay, somebody said, do you have any practice recommendations for Security Plus? I get asked this about once a week, and I usually point people to the books. Any book will do. Just make sure it has the more questions, the better. Questions in the back of any, and that goes for any certification that you're trying to do. Get the ones with lots of questions in the back of it. You don't have to get the official guide or anything. Make sure it's up to date. Like, you don't want to get, especially for the CompTIA Security Plus, they update it about every year or so, every year and a half, something like that. And now they're up to 701. So you don't want to get a book for 201 and they're already up to 701 talking about cloud and stuff like that. So, 101 didn't have cloud stuff in it. 201 didn't have cloud stuff in it. So get an updated book. Doesn't have to be official guide. Something with lots of questions in the back. Only costs you about $20 or something like that. And I'll also recommend that you use as a tool to help you out. A tool, not a crush. A tool is large language learning models. Like use ChatGPT or Genesis, Gemini from Google, or Claude AI or something like that. And you can have it ask you questions. And that'll help you to get your mind rewired to take these questions. I've heard about people taking some of those, what is it called? Boson. Yeah, Boson. Those are cool too. There's like those little questions that walk you through how to. Those are cool too. Street Track says working on a RHCSA. That's a Red Hat certified system administrator, Linux certification at the moment. Linux experience still in demand. Yeah, Linux experience is hot, man. That's a great certification. It's very specific. Vendor level certifications are very market dependent, and you're relying heavily on the actual vendor who creates them. But I can show you how marketable it is right now if you want. Let's see. Let's look it up. Let's look up how marketable, because I don't know how marketable that certification is. I really don't have any idea. So let's bring up Indeed.com and let's type in, what was it? RHCSA. I'm typing in RHCSA and doing a search. So what I'm trying to do is gauge how many employers across the United States are looking for that particular certification. So first of all, pay is really good. It's looking at $100,000 to $150,000 jobs, up to 160, and it's got a total of 110 jobs. Now that's just in Indeed. So I'm sure if we go to LinkedIn or Monster, you'll find more. But it's very specific, so there's not going to be a lot of jobs. Like if I type in CISSP, it's more of a generic professional level cert. So, and it's very highly in demand, so it's going to be in the thousands. But this one's very specific, and usually with these vendor certs, that's how it is. You're not going to find a lot, but when you do find them, it's going to be very much they really, really need you. Yeah, but so it's 110 jobs across the U.S. I'm seeing some in Texas and a remote one here, Massachusetts, and Unix administrator is the jobs you want to look for. Asking for other skill sets as well. But yeah, it's still in demand. It's a vendor level cert, so you're gonna have to stay on top of it. That's a great certification, I think. Hey, I'm working on my associate's degree in IT. You think I should work getting a bachelor's degree? Yeah, knock out your associate's degree. That's a really good start. And then I would say go ahead and get the bachelor's. Why would you want a bachelor's degree? Why do it? How do I put this? There's this huge level of impact on your career with a bachelor's degree. When you go from associates to a bachelor's degree, it gives you this huge impact. It's one of the biggest impacts you'll have on your impact on your career. Once you get to a master's degree, is diminishing returns unless you're trying to be a manager. Like if you're just getting a master's degree just to get a master's degree, to say you have one, or to flex on people, or if you want to, increase the amount of money you have, it will increase, but not as much impact from when you went from an associate's to a bachelor's. From an associate's to a bachelor's, this huge return on investment that you rarely get again. And then from bachelor's to master's, it's a little bit more, unless you're trying to be a manager. Then it could be huge. Depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're going to be a manager, then yeah, you kind of have to get one eventually. You have to. If you're trying to be a director and a chief, a CISO or something like that, then yeah, get one. Depends on what you're trying to do for a master's. But bachelor's, dude, it will change your life. Like I would say do it. Like it's going to be worth your time. It's a huge return on investment. Of course, knock out the associates. But if you have the opportunity, time, energy, resources to do a bachelor's, man, it changed my life. I have an associate's and a bachelor's, but I think the reason why is because it might just be in my sector, the government sector, where a lot of contracts require people to have a bachelor's degree. And I think they're kind of moving away from that, which I'm glad. I'm glad that they're starting to move away from bachelor's degrees, to be honest, because it's so expensive. It takes so much time. It's better to just get the experience and get in a professional level cert, or get like a vocational school would be way better. Right now, the market is still going to pay you a lot more to get that bachelor's degree. But it's hopefully it's changing. I've heard that more organizations are starting to say, we don't need you to have a degree. Just have this experience, or we'll train you, or whatever. And I think that's the way we're going to have to go, because universities keep increasing their tuition fees, and we need people now. We don't need people in 4 years. We need people like right now, like next week, not 4 years from now. All right, let me see here. I've been talking for about an hour, guys. I'm going to take some more questions here. And Mr. Baker says, government contractor or private sector? I've done both. And it depends on what you wanted, where you're at. Kind of depends on what you like. I can tell you the difference between the two. Government contract work, first of all, both of them pay pretty good. If you compare them against like a GS position or being in the military, which I was in the military, it pays way, way better. The benefits are better in the GS world, and in the when you're in the military, it's way, it's not even a comparison. Best benefits you'll ever get. Benefits on the outside for government work or private work it's all right. It's not that great. It's not compared to the military. The difference between a contractor, government contractor, and private sector, though. Private sector is like you really got to know your shit in the private sector, because everything they do is based off of the bottom line, the money. Because with government work, you get this contract and it's like worth 5 million over 3 years, right? And that's some level of stability. So they know they have a budget and there's a scope of work. And as long as they stay in that budget that the government gave them, that money that they won in that contract, and as long as they hit their marks with their requirements, they're good. So they have that nest egg. They can just kind of, stick with that. But in the private sector, it's a bit different. So in the private sector, they're doing like business to business. Like this business is working with this business, and it's a limited amount of money. It's not no 5 million over 3 years. It's like 50,000 for this work right here, and then 50,000 for this work right here, and then 50,000 for this work, and then 100,000 for this work. Oh, we won $1 million contract that's going to last 1 year. Like, it's very specific. It's very like, and if they don't hit those marks, and this is why it's like there's less margin for error in the private sector. So you got to have people who know what they're doing. So when I was in the private sector, we had a lot of training. We had a lot of on the job. We had a lot of mentorship. We had a lot of it was very important that everybody knows how to do what they're going to do. And there was no room for people chilling. Like, there was no people who laying in the background not doing it. Everybody was carrying the weight. And if there was any indication you were not pulling your weight, they were fine. You were gone. You were getting the hell up out of there, because everybody had to pull their weight, because you're getting increments of money. Like, everybody has to pull that weight. So government sector, government contractor, I would say there was a little bit more wiggle room for kind of taking a breather. And so you have people who they're not super skilled, but we're keeping them there to do sometimes busy work that comes up. Whereas in the private sector, there was no room for people not knowing their shit. So we had to, and what happened was, you had to have these people, everybody had to be sharp, or every knife had to be sharp. Everyone had to be sharp. And if somebody wasn't pulling their weight, they were gone. And so it made it very steel sharpened steel. Like, everyone was pulling each other up to succeed. It's a little bit more stressful, because you got to be on top of things, and you have to there was a lot of training. Government contractor, you had one job and that's it. Like, you had this one thing you're going to do, or these 4 things, they're piling stuff on you. You do these 4 things, whatever you can carry, go. This other one, anything that came down the pipe, all of us had to do it. So I would say technically it was harder in the private sector. It was more fun. Private sector was more fun, because I was getting exposure to, we were doing Wi-Fi scans, and we had to go to a class for Wi-Fi scans. We had to do cyber threat intelligence. We had to do, they were trying to get us to do cloud stuff. I got exposure to PCI DSS. I mean, I got so much exposure doing private sector, because we had to do everything. Whereas government contractor, they were like, no, you're doing this one thing. We're not doing all this other stuff. They have to do another contract to do that stuff. So it depends on what you like. If you're very technical, super sharp, then probably straight up private sector would probably be more fun for you. Somebody said, I just received a CISSP certification. Which roles should I look for? The highest paying roles. Congratulations, by the way. Go for the highest paying role. Don't think about what they call it, because they can call anything they want. They can call you an Imagineer technician. Don't worry about the role name. Worry about how much they're gonna pay you. Worry about what you can do for them, of course, where you fit in with them, how you can serve them, but how they go for the one that pays you the most. Put it on your resume, explain exactly what you can do, and then the highest paying you do want to look for good. You want to interview them and research any organization you go for, or that comes after you. Um, be very picky, because you now you can be very picky. Like, you don't choose the first thing you see necessarily. Do your background check on them. Like, as soon as they send you something in your inbox, like, who is this? What's the company is this? Go to their webpage, go to their career page, check it, and then go to there's a site called Glassdoor. It has, like, sometimes employees of that company will talk very loosely and very honestly about the company that they work for. Read those comments. I mean, just be honest with yourself about what you're getting yourself into. And then when you do, if you get the honor of doing the interview, if you get that far, look for red flags. Red flags will be like them saying that they're doing, shift work, or there's a lot of travel, or one thing that's a red flag for you might not be a red flag for me, but that's like, look for, like, continue to interview them is what I'm saying, and choose the highest paying organization. Don't worry about the role, because if they call whatever role they call you, sanitation engineer, if they're paying you $300,000 a year or whatever, then take it. You know what I mean? Okay, let me see. Got more questions here. Great advice on frameworks. Thank you. How is AI impacting the industry from insider perspective? Right now, what I'm seeing is we're trying to adjust to the uses of it, because it's starting to get implemented in. It's a great question, by the way. It's starting to get implemented in tools. Like, let's say we use Mac OS in our environment. Let's say we were using Mac OS. Mac is starting to integrate it into their product. Microsoft is starting to integrate it into the web browser that we use. They're starting to integrate it into tools we actually use. Like, for example, Internet Explorer uses Copilot, which is some kind of derivative of ChatGPT. So now we have to do policies to see, okay, look, you guys can use it, but however, make sure you don't do X, Y, and Z with it. You're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. Don't go to this site. We're gonna block this site right here. We're blocking. So we're having to adjust to all the tools that are integrating AI, large language models, in there. There's talk about putting more AI, using it more, which is interesting. I thought they were going to go the opposite direction, but they've leaned in, which I think is a good thing, because in order to be competitive with other countries or with other companies or whatever, we basically have to use it. It's like an arms race. So what they're trying to do right now is figure out how we can use it without hurting our mission or our business. And working in the government, our main concern is our confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the information. We don't want to leak sensitive information on the internet. So that's the biggest challenge that we're having. That's the biggest impact right now that it's having on us. In the future, I mean, what's amazing is I don't know where this is going to go. Like, I'm a huge fan of science fiction, and I can say, like, I have no idea where this is, and it's very exciting and scary at the same time, because when you see how powerful it is and what it can do, your mind goes in all kinds of different directions. There's all this fear about us losing jobs about it, but I think the biggest concern with artificial intelligence won't be jobs. I think it's gonna change us as a species, and I don't think enough people are really talking about that. But just like the phone changed us, it's really changed us. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but people are different because they have phones. Especially if you've been alive before everybody was using them, people are very different. Like, social media and phones, like, really have already changed us. And some might say that's not for the best. I mean, Some things are better. You have more accessibility to information. We have a more of a social, more of a nuanced um, conversation happening. I've noticed like whenever something happens, everybody kind of knows about it faster. Whereas before, you could go your whole life without knowing certain things. But now it's like it's so much information coming at us on social media that information just spreads everywhere faster, which I think is a good thing, especially if there's a disaster, natural disaster, or like some kind of conflict. There's more exposure to like government over government doing things they shouldn't do, or corruption is getting exposed faster. That's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. It looks worse, but it's better to know what's going on than to not know. Which is, when I was coming up, we just wouldn't know. And you know, 10 years later that this thing was. Look at the Vietnam War. Like the Vietnam War was started by some false flag. Look that up. I mean, that's crazy. So right now, something like that is immediately getting. You have immediately people saying, no, it's because of. You have an opposition happening immediately, which I think is. It's good that we have this more nuanced discussion about whether we should be in certain conflicts or COVID-19 or whatever the case may be. Like we're having more of a conversation about things. The bad thing about it is that I don't know if you noticed, but like people are kind of getting fed certain information, and it's the information they want to hear. So politically, you might be of one mindset, and then you're getting fed certain information. And when you go talk to your coworker or friend, they're getting fed another set of facts. And it's because social media has these stovepipes where people just keep going down this rabbit hole, and they're not like exposed to another person's rabbit hole. So you got these two competing facts, and it's causing some problems, for people, especially people who can't think critically outside their emotional, like you want to believe certain things, but then it's not true. Like rather than challenging yourself, some people just like want to keep believing some shit that's not true. If it's in their favor, it's like you're on this team and your team is losing. And then rather than saying, okay, my team is losing, you say, you keep going down your rabbit hole. Like this whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar things. Like Drake obviously lost. And the Drake fans, they're never going to believe. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I think AI is the same thing is happening with AI. I think something, not necessarily that stovepipe and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to change what's happening with us. It's a bigger question, is what is going to happen to us as a human race. It's going to change us. I think it already is, actually. How marketable is the OSCP? Let's see. Let me show my screen. I'll talk you through it if you can't see my screen. So I'm going to go to Indeed. And just like we search for the Red Hat certification, I'm going to type in OSCP. Is it OSCP? Yeah, OSCP. OSCP, for those who don't know, is Offensive Securities Certified. It's a hacker certification. It's a ethical hacking certification. One of the top ones that there is out there. And what I'm doing is I'm typing it into Indeed.com to see how many people are looking for this position, for that certification. And so there's a few. I'm seeing 512 jobs, which is more than the Red Hat Certified Administrator certification. And let me see. Let's look at a couple of these jobs and how much they're paying. There's a Senior Adversarial Emulation Operator, and that is remote in Missouri, and it's paying anywhere between $83,000 and $155,000. And then there's one for Manual Ethical Hacker, It's looking for a CI in OSCP, and that is making between 95 and 140,000 in Denver. You have a privacy manager, you have a threat intelligence manager, you have a pen testing, retail engineering. So it's going across many different industries. I'm seeing healthcare, I'm seeing retail, I'm seeing possibly government work. That's really good. So this is a great certification. Yeah, this is a great professional level pen testing or ethical hacking certification. It is in demand, and you could probably do a lot of freelance work with the OSCP. What I've noticed is like some OSCPs will do freelance work, and they'll put their resume out there, and they'll do pen testing for like small organizations. You could probably start your own business with an OSCP because if you're that skilled, you don't really need to work for a company. You can just make your own company and just go out and get small to medium-sized companies to hire your company, your LLC. You make an LLC or a DUNS number or whatever. Get a tax ID, and then put your corporation out there. Promote yourself on LinkedIn and Indeed and everything, and then you could do your own freelance hacking. Because with that skill set, I mean, the OSCP is no joke. Like that means you had to practice. I think it's a 24-hour practicals hacking cert, meaning they have an environment and you have to get the certification. You have to actually hack some systems, and then you have to do it within 24 hours. They're like, oh yeah, use whatever book you want. It's that hard. You use whatever tool you can. You can use whatever you want. So yeah, that's a great certification, and it is in demand. But you could probably even do your own business with that one. What kind of cars you like, Brody? I like electric cars. Not really a car guy, but I like electric cars. I right now have a Mach-E, a Ford Mach-E. I like it. Only thing is the distance sucks. It doesn't go very far. So I'll probably have to go back to gas, unfortunately, which I hate gas cars. Hate them. But if I want to travel, drive to another state or something, I can't use that damn. It's too much of a pain to use the Ford Mach-E. All right, bro. I got my my associates in computer science. I've been working as a medical device engineer and a Google Cyber. His message cut off. Google Cyber. And does he have a question? I don't know. That's good. That's great. Let me see. Let's see. All right, bro. Okay. No, I already read that one. Microsoft is starting to integrate Copilot into Windows 11. Yeah. AI is getting integrated into everything. Every phone, I think even down to applications. It's going to be a part of everything we do very soon. In fact, marketing for new laptops have Copilot as a feature. Yeah. Yep. Oh, what should I go for next? Let me see. What was the other part of your question? What was the first part? You said, okay, you got you have an associate's degree in computer science, have been working doing medical device engineer as a Google Cyber. What should I go for next? It depends, Gabe, what you want to do, man. It depends. Like, what do you want to do? You want to go into management? You like more technical work? You like what do you want to do? Have you thought about doing your own business as a medical? Because what you're doing as a medical device engineer, I know it has to be in demand, I would imagine. Maybe you start your own business doing. Have you thought about that? Doing your own business, fixing or putting or maintaining medical devices. You can put your services out there to all healthcare clinics who have medical devices, and then do freelance work directly, as a part, like you do it as a side thing until it took off. It's in demand, but cybersecurity is better paying. You mean, where do you go from here to get into cybersecurity? What if you, well, from your perspective, like probably you could do healthcare. You could get into, I don't know if you're familiar, you gotta be if you're doing medical devices, HIPAA. So there's a bunch of jobs in the healthcare industry just doing policy work for HIPAA, healthcare. And let me show you a certification you might want to look into. It's called HCIPP, HIPAA. SC2. Okay, here it is right here. So Gabe, who is a medical device engineer and sounds like he's been doing IT for some time, is asking me where does he go from here? He has an associate's degree in computer science. What should he do? So one of the things that you might want to look into is being a healthcare GRC person. And there's a certification. You'd be perfect for this because you've already had exposure to the healthcare industry. And you're going to have some idea what I'm talking about when I bring this up. And I'll read it to you. If you've not seen my screen, I'll read you guys what I'm seeing here. So it's called the HCISPP, a healthcare security certification. And what does it focus on? It's healthcare information security and privacy practitioner. So you can expand your knowledge to be a GRC for healthcare industries. And here are the domains that they cover in this certification. This is coming from the IC2 squared, by the way, which also does the CISP and several other certifications. The domains of this healthcare certification is number one, domain one, healthcare industry. So they're going to describe the healthcare industry to you, which you already know probably. Domain two, information governance in healthcare. Domain three, information technologies in healthcare. Domain four, regulatory and standards environment. Privacy, domain five, privacy and security in healthcare. Domain six, risk management and risk assessments. Domain seven, third-party risk management. So essentially what this certification is doing is getting you prepped for a GRC, doing GRC work in the healthcare industry, because all the stuff I just named is GRC work in the healthcare industry. You have a leg up on someone like myself who doesn't have a lot of exposure in the healthcare industry. I've done a little bit, but not a lot. So you know the lingo, you know what kinds of things that they need. And let's go a step further here. Let's do further research here. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm going to type in that certification. I want to see how many organizations are looking for this type of work. So here I am on LinkedIn, and you can do the same thing on Dice, on Monster, on whatever, just get an idea. We're going to type in HCISPP. And let's see how many organizations are looking for this particular work. Because maybe I'm wrong. No matches found for this job. All right, let's see. How about Indeed.com? Indeed. And it could be because this is a new certification, or maybe I just typed it wrong. But HCISPP. CISPP. Maybe there's no jobs for this because it's too new. 91 jobs. Okay. 91 jobs. And the kind of jobs that they're looking for is associate director, compliance and administrative work. So it's essentially compliance for healthcare organizations. Here's one in Hawaii, project manager, senior director for security operations. It's all compliance analyst type work here, but for hospitals. It's one for Blue Cross Blue Shield. a cybersecurity analyst, where they're looking for that certification. So yeah, this is GRC. This is just one thing you could do, is go ahead and get yourself, is round out your knowledge of compliance, which would only help you, like even with your doing your medical devices, they have to be compliant with HIPAA, right? I mean, so this right here is just expanding your knowledge base and allowing you to go further into that field, and making it so that you can explain to new customers or clients how they can better secure and be compliant with certain regulatory standards in the healthcare industry. So that's something that you can do. You said, should I do my IC2 first? What do you mean IC2? Maybe I'm missing something. It's in demand in cybersecurity. What's in demand, but cybersecurity is better. And this is a way, is to marry both those things together and build off the skill set you already have. So what I mean by that is you're not abandoning all the skills you've already built up as a medical devices engineer. You're building out from there by including the policy and regulatory standards that are in cybersecurity. So now when you come in to an organization, or if you start your own organization, you can include that in your tool chest. You can say, let's make sure that these medical devices and all the devices on this network are in compliance with these regulatory standards for the healthcare industry. And I've been doing this for a long time. I'm actually a HCISPP, and I'm an expert in it. You could literally say that because you've been hooking up these devices, and I'm certain that you've had to pay very close attention to the security features of those medical devices, which is important to protecting our sensitive information, our privacy information, right? As the data is traveling with these devices and stuff. So yeah, that's one thing. If I were you, that's what I would do. Is I would expand on what I already have and build out to do GRC stuff. And of course, I mean, you already have a computer science degree, so you have the basics down and stuff. So I don't have to tell you to sharpen up those skills. It's especially with HIPAA. Yeah, exactly. So you already know HIPAA. So get this certification. Look it up. It's called HCISPP. And I believe it's a professional level certification. Let me see. Oh, let's see here. What would that be? Would that be under HPP? Right now I'm looking at pauljeremy.com security certification roadmap to try to see where the HCISPP sits. I want to say it is. I was surprised to see the PMP so high up on the food chain. It's like an expert level certification. Yeah, there it is right there. It's a professional level certification. Yep, there it is right there. See that? It's right below the CASP plus. So that's a pretty high level certification. It's in line with the CRISC, the CISSM, which I don't know what that is, and the CAP, which is now called the CGRC. I have that certification. So yeah, that's what I would do if I were you. That's one thing you can do. Let me see. All right, I think that's about it, guys. Let me see if there's any questions on security on YouTube real quick. Bust some of these out real quick. Let me see if I have any questions on YouTube. Questions on YouTube that I didn't get. Okay, here's one. Would a junior system administrator be a good entry-level role to get into this information security? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a so system administration does a lot of information security. It's kind of it's it's something that's really, really important. That's kind of just an inconvenience that's ignored. Information security, this GRC stuff, it's the stuff that gets people hacked if you don't pay attention to it. Whenever you hear about these giant hacks where they lose all these records, it's usually because they're not doing GRC correctly. It's usually, when you look into how they got the breach, it's usually something pretty simple, like some random user clicked a link that took them to a malware site that downloaded something on their computer, and then that malware locked out, did ransomware on their computer, and they were on a server. There's several problems with that. Number one, your people have to have training not to click on random ass links. Number two, even if somebody did accidentally click on a link, why are they doing it from a server? Why are they doing it from an important system? You shouldn't be searching the web or clicking anything or checking email on an important system. And even if they did, that system should be locked down. There's several different levels of failure. That if they were doing GRC, if they're following policy, one of those layers of defense would have kicked in. So it's GRC, they're not doing it. So you as a junior system administrator are a part of one of those layers of defense. As a system administrator, you're applying security controls so that if somebody did click on something that they're not supposed to or download something they're not supposed to, it has controls in place to where it's not going to get very far. And you've made sure that you have things like separation of duty, where if they are doing work on that important system, they're not doing it with their admin account. You have a policy in place for that. You could be a part of the person writing the procedures and policy to have separation of duty. What else do you do as a system administrator? You could be making sure that you could be a part of the people who are doing auditing on the system, like looking up accounts, like making sure that put any kind of privileged accounts or user accounts on there of people who have left the organization. Those are gone. You've done auditing and say, okay, this person's gone, we're going to delete this account. This person is gone, we're going to delete this account. This person moved to another unit, we're going to remove this account. So you can be doing that. You can be looking at applying things like host-based defense on the system, and then you're watching the logs of people who are interacting with that particular server. So all of those things are helpful to security, and you could be building up your resume. You've got to just include all the cybersecurity stuff that you do in that environment. And as a junior system administrator, you're going to get exposure to that for sure, even more so than a basic help desk person, because you're a privileged user. So you're the person who's actually applying those controls. So yes, it's very, very good for information security. You just got to know what to put on your resume. Let me see, what else do we have here? Yeah, somebody said bachelor's degree for sure. Yeah, bachelor's degree. Regarding GovTech, what agency is the easiest to get into an entry-level cybersecurity? For government, so I'm in a 3-letter agency right now. Before this, I was in NASA, and before that, I was in the DoD in different branches of the military. I would say that I can't tell you, haven't only been in like 4 different, maybe 5 different organizations. I can't say which one's the easiest because it depends on like what your skill set is. For example, like if you're a network guy, it depends on the needs of the military. Like the military might have a huge need for network engineers with your skill set. It depends on what your skill set is as a network engineer or as a firewall guy. I could tell you there's certain devices they use that will lend themselves to a certain people getting hired in certain departments. Like if you know risk management framework, NIST RMF, NIST 800, NIST cybersecurity framework, CSF. If you know those things, that's going to get you seen by the government more. The best thing you can do is go to USA Jobs and put your resume there. Look for jobs there, and that'll get you in. Entry level jobs. I will say, if you happen to have been in the military, it's going to help you out a lot to get into those jobs because they're always looking for veterans. If you happen to be a student working on a bachelor's degree or something, or a master's degree, you can find some internships that'll get you an entry-level cybersecurity job. So those are a couple ways that I've seen help you get in there. But as far as like what is the best organization, it's going to depend on your skill set. There's certain tools that they use that if you know those tools, they're going to look at you different. But best advice I could give you is go to usajobs.com. Of course, all the other ones, Career Builder, LinkedIn, Dice, Monster, look for all those. But the best one specifically for government jobs is going to be usajobs.com. Those are going to all be like, don't exclude the other ones, but definitely include that one on your list as far as job aggregators. Let me see. I already read that one. Bruce, just want to thank you for everything you do. Man, what's going on? Damn, this internet's not good. All right, I'm about to call it quits, guys, in a minute. The consistency for so long, helping folks, great. Man, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. All right, guys. I think that's it. My internet's really slow here. I'm in another place, so the internet. I'm seeing a huge lag here. So I'm about to let you guys go. But thank you so much for joining this. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for your questions. I am out of here, and you guys have a great life. Be positive. It's going to get better. Whatever you're going through right now, this too shall pass. Just remember that. All right. See you later.